Thank you, Rachel. Let me get set up here. Arrange all my stuff that I'm probably just going to disregard later. All right, what a great choir, huh? Choir 2 is very powerful. So, today, the title of the service is God in My Life. So, the first thing I would like to talk about is God, right? So, metaphysically, we know that God is ever-present, all-knowing, all-powerful. We know that God is everywhere. God is everything. God is greater than we can even begin to imagine. And so without going down the super rabbit hole, we need to recognize, before we move forward, we need to recognize the fact that we pretty much don't really have a choice if God is in our life. Because metaphysically, we know God is everywhere and God is all, right? So we really want to start focus. We're going to turn from that and try to see God in our life. So if we can start with that basis that God is in the matter, God is in the air we breathe, God is in the divine spark of each person we come in contact with. So then therefore we don't have the ability to turn God off. God's not a water spigot that we can turn off after we're done watering our garden and drop down and kind of walk away from, right? God's a river that we either choose to flow with or we dam up. We're good at making dams, right? So we take and we put our rocks up and make the dam, but a river left dammed will always find another way. In the mountain, it'll find another way. It'll find another stream. It'll find another path. And if we don't actively keep damming it up, it'll break through our dam eventually. So, but you see how we don't get a say in the river. We get a say in the hose. Metaphysically, we are God. God is. So our say is whether we can choose to see God or not see God. So I want to start right there, just kind of lay the foundation of that, because it's joking. We don't have a choice, right? It's a joke, really. You're supposed to laugh there, but you didn't. But that's a nice foundation I would like to start to move forward, because I'm going to go into seeing visions. Seeing God is really our purpose of this sermon. So, without further ado, most of the time, when we see God, it is very easy for us to see God in the moments of wonder, is what I like to call them. The moments of wonder, the birth of a child, the sunrise on the beach in the morning, the meditation that just blows your mind. You know you're locked in, you can feel it, you are overwhelmed, and it's a transcendent experience. I know we've all had them, and even outside this room, everybody's had them. But those moments are awesome because no matter what our thoughts or beliefs at the time that they happen, no matter what kind of mood we're in, they'll still happen. It's a moment that'll stop us in our tracks and spoon feed us God. Spoon feed us the vision of God, the ability to see God and know God and feel God, right? So they're very valuable, but they're not all. They're not all. So a moment of wonder for me was when Hazel was born, right? So we're in the hospital and there's like a million people. Like we get to the point, we did a traditional hospital style. So we get to the point of like the baby's coming, right? And then all of a sudden, unbeknownst to me, this door opens. It's like a secret door swung open. And about 14 people came in, rushing in, equipment came in, 3 different nurses came in. And I'm all going, what's going on? And they were very respectful. They still, gave me a spot, but it went from me at the bedside to like 6 people, right? So, but in the moment and like in the experience of it, it was so big that I didn't even like recognize that it was there. You know what I'm saying? It was one of the moments in my life I've been more present, never been more present and aware of a moment without the rest of the stuff. And it was so cool because I thought, I'm an emotional guy, so I thought I was going to like cry and freak out and all that stuff. But it was so big that I was detached from the emotion of the moment, which is, to me, to metaphysicians, we know that's big. If you can get out of the emotions of something and rise above that, it's like that's on a level that we can't even comprehend. So that was a great moment of wonder for me, right? So I'm in the middle of my moment of wonder, and there's a tornado of activity going around me. And it was, it's a life-changing experience, and I don't even know how that moment in time, not even just being a father and just working in my life like that, but just that moment of time, I don't even know how it impacted me. And I probably won't until, if ever, hopefully I can get to that. But it was such a big thing. But what I'm getting at is that's my moment of wonder. Some people's might be, we get them all. Birth of the child is a pretty easy one to get off of for most people. I know Noelle loves the sunsets on the beach. So, that's probably her thing. And it's like, but in that moment, 15 people running around me, probably 100 things going on simultaneously, and I didn't recognize God in those things. And it wasn't that I was negating the power of God. I was just in the moment. Was doing nothing. But my moment of wonder contained all these other little moments that I did not necessarily recognize God in or see God in. And I tell you that because I recognize it later, working on the service, I've thanked the nurse 100 times, recognize God in the nurse, recognize the Christ light in her. I've recognized God in the divine idea that created the machine that took the baby and sprayed her down like a car wash. You know what I'm saying? So I have retroactively recognized God in all those moments. But at the time I hadn't, and I say that for this reason, and this is a big one, and I would like everybody to own it if they can come with me, come with me. If not, that's okay. If you blow up the picture of eternity and the ethers and life and blow it up way out, our planet, our humanity, and our ecosystem, everything engulfed in the world we live in now is a moment of wonder. It is a moment of wonder to the universe. It is a moment of wonder to God. We have all come down and decided for us, it's a really long moment. But in the grand scheme of things, what we cannot see, it's probably not. It's a moment of wonder, and we are those nurses running around doing the little stuff, doing the machines, doing the help, doing our stuff. And we want to start being able to see God in the details of the everyday. We don't want to just go away from, we still want our moments of wonder, right? Like, who doesn't want that, right? But when we have those, we want to take it the next step and try to see God all the time, everywhere. Like we believe as metaphysicians that God is everywhere. Like God is everywhere. We would like to start seeing God everywhere. God's divine spark is in every human. That's pretty easy for us, right? But is it easy for us when that human's road raging on us? You know what I'm saying? And that's a very metaphysical thing. We do that a lot. We put a bad situation to try to find God. I'm talking find God in the bench out there. Find God in the maker of that bench. Somewhere, if you can logically trace it, you're still doing good. You're still taking the effort to try to put God into your world, right? So that's kind of us. So we don't really have a choice if God's in our life. We kind of say sometimes we turn away from God or turn towards God in metaphysics. I kind of like the idea you either look up. I was supposed to say look down right there. You either look up and see God, or you look down and see your feet and your obstacles. We can't turn away, because guess what? Guess where God's at? Everywhere. We can either look down or we can look up. So I would like to share a story from the Aquarian. This is one of the cool stories. We use it a lot. It's one of my favorites. It's a good go-to story because it has a lot in it. A lot of you have probably heard of it, but it's a little girl at the healing fountain in Greece, I believe. So I'm going to read the story and we'll go through it because there's a lot here. So a flowing spring that people called the healing fount was near Persepolis, and all the people thought that at a certain time of year, their deity came down and gave virtue to the waters of the fount, and that the sick who would then plunge into the fount and wash would be made whole. So the people that believed in the fount believed in it one day a year. They saw God one day a year at that location. About the fount, a multitude of people were waiting for the Holy One to come and potentize the waters of the fount. They're waiting around, waiting for their moment of wonder that they get to experience. The blind, the lame, the deaf, the dumb, and those obsessed were there. So they're waiting at the fount for their one time that they get to see God a year, and they're waiting as a group, probably standing next to each other. Do you think they're recognizing God in each other while they're waiting? I hope they are, but I don't know. I wasn't there. Well, I might have been. I don't remember. And Jesus, standing in the midst of them, exclaimed, "Behold, the spring of life. These waters that will fail are honored as a special blessing of your God. From whence do healing virtues come? Why is your God so partial with his gifts?" And I'm going to read these next three questions because a lot of times I could see how this is Jesus taking down a deity, right? His directed questions are, why does your God do this? Why does your God do this? He's not taking down a deity. He's not dethroning another God. He's asking the people their thought process. Why is your God? Why would your God? Why is your thought so limiting? Why is your thought so limiting? From whence do the healing virtues come? Why is your God so partial with his gifts? Why does he bless the spring today and then tomorrow take his blessings away? A deity of power could fill these waters full of healing virtue every day. Hear me, you sick, disconsolate. The virtue of this fount is not a special gift from God. Faith is the healing power of every drop of these waters in the spring. So the virtue of this fount is not a special gift from God. Is such a powerful statement, and I love it. And I love when he kind of rocks people's world, right? The virtue of this fount is not a special gift from God. And I'm just going to put a side note in here. Because God doesn't pick and choose where he places his divinity on earth. We pick and choose where we see it. We pick and choose where we see it. We see it in the Temple of Jerusalem. We see it in the pyramids of Egypt. We see it on Machu Picchu. We can see it in our living room. We see it here. We can see it at Los Reyes down the street afterwards. You know what I'm saying? And I think most of us do it here. I'm going to give everybody kudos. We're probably seeing God as well as we can at this moment. But how powerful is that? The fount's nothing, and we'll get to see the girl who breaks it all down. He who believes with all his heart that he will be made whole by this washing in this fount will be made whole when he is washed. And he may wash anytime. Let everyone who has his faith in God and himself plunge in these waters and wash now. A day before God was supposed to get there. And many of the people in the fount plunged into the crystal fount and were healed. And then there was a rush for all the people who were inspired with faith. And each one strove to be among the first to wash, lest all the virtue be absorbed. So we're seeing God, and we're still tinging on that fear of lack. So they're still holding on to that God is limiting idea, right? So they're worried. They got to get in there and scrub up before everybody else wastes all the water. And Jesus saw a little child, weak and faint and helpless, sitting all alone behind the surging crowd, and there was none there to help her to the fount, because everybody's rushing in to get their clean water. And Jesus said, "My little one, why do you sit and wait? Why not arise and hasten to the fount and wash and be made well?" And the child replied, "I need not haste. The blessings of my Father in the sky are measured not in tiny cups. They never fail. Their virtues are same and forevermore." Now, do you think this girl struggled seeing God in her life? No, she saw it everywhere. She didn't see it in the date, the calendar. She didn't see it in the location. She saw it everywhere. She knew she was going to be taken care of. When those whose faith is weak and who must haste to wash for fear that their faith will fail have all been cured, these waters will be just as powerful for me. That's out of the little girl's mouth. Now that is faith, but not only is that faith, that is strong faith because she sees God. She sees God in her daily life. She's not worried that it's going to run out or it's going to change location or the calendar is going to have to go 364 more days for her to get her healing. So then she says, then I can stay a long time in the blessed waters. And Jesus said, behold the master soul. She came to earth to teach men the power of faith. And then he lifted up the child and said, why wait for anything? The very air we breathe is filled with the balm of life. Life, breathe in this balm of life and faith and be made whole. The very air we breathe is balm of life. Breathe it in with faith and be made whole. Now, I don't know about you guys, and faith has a totally different definition and direction we would go with it, but I feel in order to have a good solid base of faith, you have to be able to see God. Right? No one, well, I'm not going to say no one. I would find it hard for me personally if I could not see God to have strong faith that I will be taken care of. Right? So this girl is so powerful, and I love the story because it's just full of stuff. But to see, we say out of the mouths of babes. They're good. Kids are good. She knows what she's talking about. And it is just a powerful story to know that she can stand on her own, not have to worry and rush in. All right? Kind of in our life, as we live our life. And none of you might not be guilty of this, but we tend to kind of have good, really solid portions, ideas, thought areas of our life where we see God a lot and easy. It's easy for us to come in here and see God in each other, in the space, in the land. We have collectively brought our energy together, and God's here just as God's down the street at QT. Remember, we're not a holy spot that is holier than thou, right? We're a part of the world, a part of everything. But we come together and it's easy for us to see God. So the energy lifts because we are seeing and recognizing the divinity in the earth. We are recognizing and seeing the divinity in the people, in the chairs, everything. So it's easy for us to see. Sometimes we go and get working or get doing whatever, get doing life. And I know everybody's got somewhere in their life that they don't see God immediately. We can all probably trace back retroactively, like I did at the hospital. We can retroactively trace back, which is awesome and great, but don't we want to be able to see God and everything, recognize God's power in the creation of all, the divinity and all? Wouldn't it take our thoughts and beliefs to the next level? Wouldn't it make our ability to live in harmony and unity better, which we're obviously being shown that we need, right? So one of the things we do is we create little blind spots, or today I'm going to call them either blind spots or fear pockets. Because if you're wondering, well, I see everything, I see God in everything, I do it, I try to see God in everything, I'm real good at seeing God. I'll give you a hint. If you got an area of your life where there's fear or doubt, you're having an issue seeing God. If there's fear or doubt, you're having an issue, because if you were able to see, you would be the little girl. You'd be the little girl. I don't care how many people wash in there. And then how many things are we in the crowd? How many things in our lives are we in the crowd? I gotta go. I gotta get my divinity on because it's going to run out. We want to try to look at our blind spots, our little fear pockets. And if it's fear or doubt, those are the directives, I think. If you're fearful of it, that means you can't see God. And we know as metaphysicians, back to the beginning, God is everywhere. God is in everything. So it's our responsibility to lift our vision up off of our feet and find God in it. And that'll erase the fear and the doubt. I'll give you a little example. We've all been to the pool, hopefully. Everybody's been to the pool, right? And it's one of the coolest things. I've seen it a couple of times. One of the coolest things is watch a little kid jump in the pool for the very first time. It's like it's a moment of wonder for them, because they've been on the earth however many years, and it's probably a big deal. They've seen all their cousins and brothers and sisters doing it. So they get the little flippers on, they get your swimsuit on, they get up, smile, smile, smile. They're fearless. And they get up about 6 inches away from the pool edge and the eyes go. And they go, I don't know. I can't do this. I got fear creeping in. I got doubt creeping in. And what does it take 90% of the time to get them to jump? It takes somebody push them. Hopefully you're not. I wasn't going there, Shay, but that's a dam breaking. That's the river breaking through the dam. But it takes a parent going down into the pool and sticking their arms out and saying, I got you. And that the kid needs to see that to jump. And when the kid can see the parent in the pool saying, I got you, the kid will eventually jump. That fear may not erase totally, the doubt may not erase totally, but the ability to see God will create faith that allows that child to jump. And that child, what do they look like when they come up out of the water? Big old smile, big eyes. Even if they're crying, they get over it. They eventually become jumping around. And it's, and I'll say this too. I wasn't going to say it, but I'm just going to say it. And as parents, we might think it's safety. We're getting in there to do it. Really, the parents aren't getting in there to keep the kids safe. They know the kid's not going to drown. He's got 14 life jackets on. In the parent's heart, there is that innate sense to relieve fear and relieve doubt. And that is the total example of God. God is here for us to relieve the fear and relieve doubt. We just got to quit looking on our toes and the little minute crumbs of sand that we choose to step over and look up. And find it. Find God. Find the parent in the pool sticking their arms out saying, I got you. Nothing's going to be wrong. You're going to be fine. And that's where I would say. So if you got fear or doubt, you're the little kid at the pool. We want to create a daily scenario where the conditions are right for us to easily see God. That's the goal, right? After that, you do with what you want with it. You can spiritual growth to the sky. But just to start there, to set the conditions right, because that's all we can do to ourselves in anything is set the right conditions to succeed. So just things that I would say, about 4 things. Number 1, you hear it every day. You hear it every time you come in here. You hear it all the time in metaphysics. Connect with God daily. Meditate in the morning. If you're not going to meditate, pray. Do what you can to bring and ask God to come in your life. And you will see God easier. You might not see God in every minute aspect. You might not see God all the time, but just asking for that connection, that involvement, that partnership. Just saying, hey, God, I would like for you to participate with me. I would like to not try to do this banging my head against the wall, my will or nobody else, my will or the highway. And then that'll open us up to start seeing. So I would urge you, most of you probably are, but meditate every day. If you can't meditate, pray. If you can't meditate, try, learn. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it takes. Spirituality is not quantifiable by time or skill. It's by faith and effort. It is. So I would say that's the easy one. We all can own that, right? We all trying that anyway. The next one I would say is to try to take steps to recognize God in your matter. So I give you an example. We, when at my work, build houses, so construction's happening all the time, and I'll have a homeowner come in and they'll write, it doesn't happen all the time, but there'll be a homeowner that come in and write a Bible verse or something on the framing behind the fireplace wall, and they'll write it on the stairs, somewhere strategically throughout the house. So they're asking God to become a part of that matter that they're about to move into. They want their space to be, they want to be able to see God in their house, literally. And I'll write, unbeknownst to them, just a little coded lettering. It looks like it's construction jargon. And I just tuck it somewhere on these houses as I build them to bring God to my work. So I can see God in the drywall guy that's flipping out at me because I'm asking him to do something that he doesn't want to do. So that I can see God in the details that seem like they're crazy and unorganized and they just fall right together. So this one house is getting two different people seeing God in their matter on two different levels. I'm doing it for me, for my work, for the building of that house, and they're doing it so they can see God in their home. Now, how holy of a space is that going to be? And God didn't say that house is the holy spot. The rest of the houses aren't. That house is going to be holy because people saw God there. So that's matter. You can always tithe too. That's an easy way. Just cut a check. We'll take it. Another joke. But that's an easy way to partner with matter. Bring God in your matter. Another thing is, right, we want to try to train our thoughts and our beliefs. Really our thoughts, because we can't change our beliefs till we change our thoughts. We really want to try to bring our thoughts to the details. We want to try to see God in the details, in the people we interact with, in the Starbucks barista, in those moments of, they're not moments of wonder, but they make up the moment of wonder that we are in. We, as a group, are the flower that's blooming in the morning dew. And think about what all that takes. We are those little things that takes. We are the pollen that the bee drops off. We look at that flower and go, oh my God, how beautiful is that? Something's looking at us saying, oh my God. So if we can find God in the details of what we do on a day-to-day basis and change our thoughts, even if it is like, I'd kind of do an exercise of myself, and this is just me, right? I'll take just a random piece of something like that instant burner. So it's just an exercise. David Fuller, find God in that. Okay, so boom, 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 real quick, I found God 3 different ways. I found God literally in the matter. I found God in the man that made that, the divine spark that carried through him that was passed on to that piece of metal to create this beautiful thing. And then I find God in whoever had the idea to invent incense burners. That was a divine idea somewhere that was downloaded thousands of years ago. So 3 different ways right off the bat. Boom, boom, boom. So I think that's just an exercise I use to try to get the mind going on the small stuff. And then the last one is I would encourage you to seek out your fear pockets. Seek out your blind spots. Don't fix them. Don't fix them all. That's a lot. Just seek them out. We're talking about just seeing God. That's another service, fixing them all. But seek out where you're fearful, where you have doubt, because now you know that you're not seeing God clearly in those moments, in those issues, in those whatevers. And find God there. Or even just recognize that you have them and put them away. Just the recognition of it allows the opportunity to bring God into it. If we don't ever recognize it, we can't ever allow the opportunity to see. You know? How much am I seeing like this? You know, because we're refusing to recognize the totality of who we are. And it's all good. It's all good. If honestly, God's everywhere. It's all good. Let's be the little girl at the fountain. So I would say that for sure. So when we make the conditions right, we really allow the ability to see to be loosened and free, So we go through, we really want to acknowledge and honor our moments of wonder. We want to see God in the details of our lives, the minutia. Because when I was a little kid, people would say to me, if you worried about the details, the big picture would be fine, and I never liked that. Because that means I'd have to try on my handwriting. But seriously, as I grow older, if you do the details, if you worry about this, if you get the small stuff right, the big stuff falls into place. The monumental challenges do not show themselves because you have been finding God in your day-to-day basis. How can you have a monumental obstacle that is going to wreck you if you can find God in every situation? You never will. You never will. So I love the song Rainbow. I love that song. It's a great song. And I love the idea of making the conditions right because the ingredients for a rainbow are water and sky and light. There's 3 ingredients for a rainbow. Moisture in there and light. And we know it's scientifically proven that there's always light. Even on the cloudiest day, the darkest day, there's always light. There's always moisture in the air. Even on the driest day, there's some form of moisture in the air. And those 2 things create the rainbow. If we set our conditions right, we can see the rainbow every day. We can see the rainbow all the time. It's very simple, yes? Yes. All right, let's go then. All right, get comfortable, get your feet on the floor. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Relax into your chair. And I want you to look down at your feet. Envision your feet, and then I want you to envision a step, the first step in the staircase. I want you to take that first step on the staircase. Look at your feet. Then there's another step. And I want you to take another step up the staircase. Look at the stairs. Look at the staircase. See what it's made out of. And we're going to go up this staircase, but as we go up this staircase, I want you to lift your vision up with each step. So it goes from the feet to the next step. You can see the grandeur and the beauty or the simplicity of your staircase. But every step we go up, our vision is up. Our head is higher. Our eyes are wider. Then at the top of our staircase, our vision is high. We're looking up. We're the small child on the side of the pool ready to go. We see our parent on the top of our staircase. We see God. However it comes to you. If it's Jesus, if it's a ball of light, if it's a column of light, if it's angels, let it come. Let it be at the top of the staircase on the platform for you. So we get to the top, we get to the platform, we're standing one with our parent, arms wide open, saying, I got you. And just take a moment to see what that makes you feel like. Take a moment to recognize the strength and the fearlessness that gives you, the confidence to take any step necessary for spiritual growth. Then I want you to ask God to show you a blind spot, a fear pocket that you may have. God, I ask you to show me a fear pocket I may have where I am not seeing you clearly. Something should come. It may be a literal word, a situation. It may be a ball of energy. may come to you visually, mentally, whatever comes, let it be. Don't judge it. Don't judge what it is, because it's brought for a reason. I want you to look at it and just be with it for a second. This fear pocket is a part of you where you have trouble seeing God. Now I want you to connect with God, whatever form God took at your top of your platform. And I want you to ask God to flow through this fear pocket so that God can be more visible. Flow through, whether a column of light, beam of energy, a touch of a hand. Allow God to introduce energy to this moment of doubt that will allow you to see clearer. And you should see some sort of transformation. It may be minor, it may be big, but that ball of energy, that whatever you got for your fear pocket should transmute on some level. You should see clearer on some level. So God, we release this fear pocket for now. We give it to you, and we ask you to flow through this so that you are easily visible the next time we see this. I don't want you to string ropes onto it and attach to it. Allow God to flow through it. Thank God for the vision. And then leave it. So we're going to leave it on the platform. We're going to leave it with God. And we're going to walk back down the steps. And as we walk back down the steps, we're going to keep our vision high. We're going to keep our vision high all the way through. We're going to look around. See what is out there as we walk down the steps. And then when we get to that bottom step, we're going to plant our foot and our chin's going to be up and our vision's going to be high. We're not going to look back down at our feet. God, we thank you for this opportunity to see, this opportunity to increase our vision. We give this to you knowing that next time we see it, next time it comes to us, we will not be fearful. We will not be doubtful. We will be ready to jump in the pool. Take a breath. Own it. So it is. So thank you for playing along. I hope you got something out of it. I hope I wasn't too short. I totally lost track of time. So, thanks.